You want to kick it off?
Sure, Chad, it's been over 20 years since you originally led the first franchise in pro sports to a championship in Edinburg. Before that, it was the Rio Grande Valley Whitewings. Can you just talk about how the Edinburg Roadrunners just kind of kick-started that professional sports world here in the Rio Grande Valley, and how you were able to just lead that first team to a championship?
Yeah, obviously it was 99 and 2000 whenever they were starting to build the stadium. They finally passed everything to build the stadium. At that time, I was actually still playing, and but I was also knew I was retiring. I mean, I was done playing. But anyway, I got in the league in San Angelo the year before, mainly just because I wanted to hopefully have a chance to get the job in Edinburg. Obviously, being my hometown, and obviously being professional baseball. And anyway, that's just kind of how that worked out. So I went to San Angelo, met everybody, got in the doors the way I wanted to. I was fortunate to get the job at Edinburg, and I think just my experience from the year before, rolling into that year of building a team and things like that, really helped me kind of be ahead of the game a little bit. And that year we inherited a team out of Louisiana. Edinburg, we kind of inherited their people, and so guys like Pedro Flores and all these guys that were all kind of given to me out of the gate. You know what I mean? So I was really lucky there, man. So we were able to kind of build that. And then Keko Guerrero, who's from the Valley, and we started adding pieces to it, and we were able to really figure some things out that year, man. And of course, my thing was, the amount of people at the games. I mean, I just remember how great it was. We were probably 35, 4,000, 5,000 on the weekends. God, it was a fun time. Obviously 9/11 happened later that year, so that was a big deal. It kind of threw a dent in some things, but overall, the whole part of that process that year was just as fun as it could be. And then obviously winning the championship, being from here, a lot of pride in that, man. A lot of pride in that.
And you also talk about that rivalry against the Rio Grande Valley Whitewings. One of my favorite moments that stood out about that rivalry was you and James Frisbee exchanging nice, heated words, third base dugout
Yeah.
or near the third base line, just to get the crowd riled up on both ends.
Yeah, I think it was again, it was a rivalry for sure. Obviously, both being in the valley, and I think we had a little edge there with the stadium, right? We were fortunate to have the stadium at the time, which was brand new and things. But yeah, and of course James Frisbee. I mean, he was my pitching coach years later. I mean, me and James were great friends. But yeah, it was a great rivalry, man. I mean, it was part of, I think, what kind of riled up both sides of the valley at times, especially baseball fans. And I think it was just really good for our league to have that. So it was great. I mean, again, just a lot of fun. Those 4 years I was here, man. I mean, '04 won the championship as well. It was, fantastic.
You mentioned 9/11, that tumultuous year, '01.
Yeah.
What do you remember about that year? I'm sure a lot thrown up in the air, obviously.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, big memories there.
no, I do. I mean, I remember like it was yesterday. I mean, we had just won the first round of the playoffs, so we were going to the finals, and it was actually the next day. That was the 10th, I believe. And we had been out, all the guys, and we all kind of met out, and having a good time and celebrating the win. And then that was in the 10th, and then that next morning I was playing golf, or trying to play golf, and then obviously 9/11 happened. It was just one of those things that just hit us. And I remember it was just a big debate on should we play, should we not play. I mean, it was just so hard to know what was the right thing to do. I think obviously everybody was just their hearts were broken, and it was a place we had never been as a country, and so. Yeah, it was emotional. You know what I mean? Just trying to figure that out, and then we decided obviously to play, and yeah, it all just kind of tied together. Made it not necessarily that made it special. It was just that added to the whole point of being pretty proud that we won the thing, I guess.
You mentioned you're up in Fort Worth now. How often do you get the chance to come back to the Valley? What do you miss the most about this
Yeah,
place?
I mean, my mom and dad have always been in the Valley. They recently moved up to Fort Worth. So it's been a little bit less the last couple of years, So it's been a while, It's great to be back. Before that, I'd always come down a few times and see my parents and things like that. But no, I miss the Valley, man. I miss just all the little quirks, and El Pato, man. I miss all kinds of stuff that we used to always do. You know what I mean? You don't have that stuff up there. You know what I mean? But it's great to be back.
No question. And this is a place that obviously loves their sports and sports things and everything.
Yep.
So how cool is it and how special to join the RGV Sports Hall of Fame?
Yeah, no, it's an honor, man. It's an honor. And again, for me, it goes back to Al Tree and Reggie Tredaway. I mean, I literally grew up with them every day of my life. You know what I mean? So it's, to be in the same hall with those two, you know what I mean, and be able to kind of, grab on their belt is a special, special thing for me. I still feel like I'm pretty young, you know what I mean? So, I mean, that's I was a little surprised about it all, but again, it's a true honor to be here. And it's one of those things, when you grow up here, especially when I was growing up here, I think now it's a little bit better, but, back then we always felt like we were left out, you know what I mean, as athletes, you know what I mean? Like, people wouldn't come down the valley to see our athletes, so that was always kind of a battle, I think, to get recruited and get those opportunities. So it's always nice to be able to do some things and put our name out there for it, and represent the valley.
Yeah, I imagine it felt, great minds are infectious in a way, learning from Ogletree, learning from Marks, so I bet that must have been a nice little advantage looking back on it.
Yeah, unbelievable, man. I just remember Jody Ramsey Stadium, man. I just remember, every day I would literally go up there. I remember March, because in March they had 3 tournaments in a row, and I didn't miss a day, and Coach Al just wearing his overalls every day, you know what I mean, and coming in and talking. He was just one of the greatest men I've ever met, and of course my dad, and that's just a whole different animal, you know what I mean? So yeah, it was I was lucky, I think, just because I grew up around that, my whole life, and I was fortunate to have that.
Great. That's it for me. Thank you again for coming through. Appreciate it.